Welcome to the Beyond the Sidelines podcast, episode 2. My name is Finn, and joining me, as always, is Angus and Campbell.
Yeah, one in the can,
Yes.
boys. One
Hello,
in the
boys.
can.
Sorry,
Hello,
I had to
everyone.
interrupt you there, Campbell. Quick shout out to the Brisbane Lions. 7 wins in a row. Campbell, put your mic back up to your face, please.
I don't want to talk about it.
No, you do want to talk about it, because
No,
we've got to
I
talk
don't.
about it. We're a sports podcast, and that's what we do.
I don't want to talk about sports today.
Campbell, 7 wins in a row.
Unlucky,
but
mate,
their
come on.
7th came against who, Campbell? Having a bit of a lapse here.
Western Bulldogs.
Western Bulldogs. And wait, what team do you support, Campbell?
The Western Bulldogs.
No way.
Funny that.
Did you?
No way.
No way.
And you
We
went.
didn't speak about this before.
You went to the game, didn't you?
I did.
And how was that?
Unfortunately.
How was it hearing the Lions team song after the game, knowing that the Lions had won and your team had lost?
Well, you know what hurts more?
Hmm.
Is that they've also won more premierships than us in the whole history. So, sucks
That's
to be a
because you guys
Doggies
are
fan.
crap.
Well,
I'm
the
gonna be
doggies going to
honest.
have to wait another 60 years for a
I was
shot
at the last
shot at
grand
the
final
flag.
as well, so I'll be 80 rolling around at the grand final.
Another 60 years, another 60 years.
Yeah, bloody hell.
Yeah.
No, we've actually, look, for a team that's trying to make a push for the finals, playing like dog, which
That's-
is suitable
that's
because we
suitable.
are, pardon the
Pardon the
pun,
pun,
but we are playing like dog, scheiter.
Just
Um,
keep it PG, please.
Yeah, you say it in German, automatically PG.
Yeah.
That's how it works. That's how it works. Anything in German,
Yeah.
clean.
We're actually going to get onto a topic here today.
I reckon we just sit here
I
and
don't really
talk.
want to.
I'd rather just speak German for the rest of the podcast.
Okay,
personally.
guys. All right, so let's touch on the week that was.
The week that was.
The
Well, let's
important results.
let's stick on AFL or the code of AFL while we're at it. Big game in the NEFL, and you know what? Lions are just killing it on all fronts at the moment.
15
You guys,
from 15.
great to see it
Unreal.
from the NEFL boys. Like,
Mm.
as much as the result for senior boys really upset me.
Yep.
The NEFL boys. I mean, we've got a few mates in that team. Fantastic work. They absolutely smashed second place.
You wouldn't have seen this coming at all,
Not
would
at
you?
all. Like, it was one of our
Just-
matches to watch, and
Oh, yeah.
it was not a match to watch scoreline wise. But like, what?
It was away too,
It was
Yeah.
away. It was
You're
down at
winning away.
Southport.
by
About
100 plus.
points, yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. How? Why does this? Is the competition not good enough for the Lions? But like, surely it hasn't been like this all the
Where
time.
do they go? Because the Lions, you're not
They
going to move the
can't play.
twos.
They can't
to
play
the
VFL. No, you can't, because you play in different conditions. You play against different opponents. So what do you do? Because, I mean, the thing is, it's not. You can't be like, oh well, it's Queensland. Like it's Queensland footy. Like
Exactly.
it's not as good. The
Clearly
GWS,
not, yeah.
Gold Coast Suns, and Sydney Swans number 2s are all in that competition as well. And GWS, great senior side. Sydney, traditionally great senior side. Great talent coming through, I assume. They do pretty well every year in the AFL. They've
But
won a few years.
How can a team be this dominant, guys? This
Oh,
is just insane.
Ridiculous. 7 wins in a row for them.
Leading by
Unfortunately, the last
16
one came
points,
against
yeah.
my boys, but...
Did it?
Moving on. Let's talk about something else. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I was at the game, and you know what was worse? I posted stories about it as well on our account.
You had to post the stories, the update of the game.
I was like, Bulldogs looking to make a comeback in this game. Did not make a comeback.
optimism.
Tell you
Bulldogs,
what.
please make a comeback
And
in
then
this
I had
game.
to play. Good. The final one was well-deserved win from the Lions.
As the
That
tears
really
were rushing
hurt.
down
Did
your
you drain your
face.
sorrows with a few light beers,
A
mate?
few light beverages, bit of a 4X gold,
Mm.
not a sponsored post. But look, it was a tough game. Lions played well. I mean, Dogs played terribly, and they didn't deserve to win at the end of the day. Lions played a great game.
So I'm
Just
just going to
first-
butt in, Campbell. We could talk about this all day, and why do you want to?
I'd rather not. Anyway, in the GPS, my boys also lost.
They did.
Yeah.
Brisbane
It was
Grammar
a,
School
it was a
too.
tough weekend for you, wasn't it?
Look,
See,
not the greatest.
I think you should just stop watching sport, mate.
I
yeah.
reckon I'll let you guys take the podcast from now on. I might just head off. I mean, I'll just... I'll head out. Thank you.
That was just a joke. That's a bit of a prank from Beyond the Sidelines. No, but pretty good weekend of GPS.
Okay, that was the most unfunny thing I've ever seen.
terrible, boys.
That was terrible. But that's what we do. We try to be funny until it is funny.
Look, we
Listen,
don't
I'm
claim to be
leaving.
comedians.
That was so unfunny. I'm leaving.
Don't do
We're
it
not
again.
comedians.
Just go
no,
on.
Dude, joke's old, man. Joke's old.
Gussie, it's not funny. Sorry about that, guys. That's just unprofessional.
Welcome to the Walking Out the Door Hour
Yeah.
with your host, Angus Bryan. He's peeling a thumbtack out of the wall. Okay,
sorry,
moving on.
I'm
We've
sorry,
got to get
I'm
through
sorry,
some
I'm
of the
sorry. Go back to that.
with it.
You might not be comedians, but I'm in the ballpark.
All right, big fella. All right.
Yeah, you look
moving on to
funny.
some results. Yeah, funny looking.
No, so if we keep looking at the GPS results, guys, similar to what I said last week, having a bit of deja vu,
A little bit.
the contenders stood up,
They really
didn't they? And
Pretty much a
BBC
carbon copy, wasn't it?
And-
Pretty
Of
much.
last week.
What more can we say?
Gussie, we're going to be biased, but BBC, man, they look good. This is the second time in 3 weeks that they've kept the team to 0.
Look,
And the old sports adage, guys, defense wins championships. Well, if it does, if that reigns true, well, BBC could be looking to end their premiership drought in 2019.
I don't want to get my hopes up.
Oh, I do it
I
every
don't
year,
want to
mate.
get my hopes up.
I do it every year.
Every year I was in school, it was the same story. Oh, BBC can win it this year.
This year's different, Gussie.
Could be
Yeah,
on.
this is a
Could be
new
on.
year for BBC Rugby.
Could
Look,
be.
we
It is
still
on.
haven't
It is, you
played.
reckon?
We still haven't
Alright.
played Ipswich. We still haven't played Nudgee, and we still haven't played Southport.
No, but other than that,
And ultimately, those games will be the.
You know what is a promising
test.
sign as well? We see the Battle of the Blue and White at Ross Oval. Great game on the weekend. Great history behind it, obviously, as well. We all know the history. But if you're looking at Nudgee every year, contender, right? Every year. There's pretty much... I can't remember the last year where they weren't a contender.
no.
They're a football factory. And they kept Terrace to 31 points. Now, while there might be a bit more emotion behind it, BBC kept them to less. So that's harking
I
on
don't
your
think we
point.
can compare games between different weeks, guys. But
Yeah.
look, this is a big game for Nudgee. I know we said it last week, but if they lost this, arguably their season's done and dusted. So
But they haven't. So they're showing some dog. They're showing some fight. And, you know...
showing some
they
dog.
have-
Showing some dog.
All right, let's not talk about the dogs, all right? We've had enough dog talk.
Moving on.
Moving on. Big country rivalry. We all kind of...
Yeah, I was pretty certain of this
I
result.
think there weren't really any upsets this week, if I'm being honest.
No.
No.
I mean, I said it last week with the Ipswich Toomba game. I knew Ipswich was going to get out to a lead, and yeah, they just carried on with it this week. 46 points.
Certainly.
Just
Keeping
too
in the
good.
rugby theme, we'll move on to the
Mhm.
Premier Grade stuff.
Indeed.
At the major and the minor semi-finals at Ballymore. on
Our
Sunday.
boy Fraser McWright.
Scoring a
and
try.
Brothers, he did.
Scoring a try for
I mean,
Brothers.
is it our influence?
Yes.
It's either here
No,
nor there.
it
It is.
I'm expecting
basically
full credit too.
Yeah.
yeah.
We
no,
pumped him up for the
Great
weekend.
win for
you'd have
Brothers.
to
That was
say.
their first win over Jeeps this season.
It was. They showed some real fight
They
there.
did. Great game,
Coming back,
guys.
yeah.
Great game, 48-40.
Yeah, it's what
You
you
don't
like
often
to
see 88 points scored in a game
in a
of rugby.
semi-final
No.
as
In
well.
a semi-final, and weren't Jeeps were one of the best defensive, if not they were the best defensive.
They were
in
the best.
competition.
Yeah.
So, Brothers, they basically get a bye week. They get a week off.
They
They'll
do.
move straight to the grand final.
They do.
Jeeps have to do it the hard way and take on UQ.
Wow.
who had a dominant performance against East.
It was great being there.
It was a tale of two games, really.
It
It
was
was.
standing
Yeah,
on
you were there.
the Newstead Brewing Co. hill at
Is that
Ballymore
what it's
for a
called
bit.
now?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, that makes sense.
The East fans, in particular, very vocal.
Were they?
Very vocal.
Oh, wow.
Throughout the whole game?
Yep. Yep.
Good on 'em.
A few guys probably
Even
had a few
towards
too
the
many
end.
light beers, but
Future Many Newstead Brewery is
Yeah.
not opposed, not a
No.
sponsor.
No sponsor.
Yet.
Hopefully.
the students, they were a bit more tame, but I
Were
think
they?
they were the ones laughing at the end of the day. I don't think you have to throw too much chat when your team wins by
51 points to 12.
exactly.
Yeah, it's a
And
bit unsportsmanlike at that point.
There were
really.
also big
Smash
results in the Colts games.
What were the results in the Colts game?
South's got up over Brothers.
Oh, my
Tight
mates
one,
were playing at that one. Oof.
27-24.
Unlucky boys.
So same thing. Souths move on. Brothers play in the prelim next week against UQ. Who
And that was at Ballymore as well.
yeah, all the games are at Ballymore. It's a great
Mhm.
weekend of rugby. It'll be
It
a
is.
similar thing this weekend.
Even juniors are at Ballymore.
Yep.
On the side fields there, which is interesting.
So Brothers will take on UQ in the Colts 1 prelim. to take on Souths in the
game.
grand final.
UQ are usually good in Colts as well,
They are.
due to the amount of Colts age people playing there.
Great bit of journalism there, mate.
Great insight.
And in Colts 2, Souths got up over Bond University. 40 points to 38, guys.
Ooh.
That's another great game.
It's been a good weekend of footy.
And they will take on... Bond will take on Brothers next weekend in the prelim.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting stuff. What about what's happening in the world of rugby league, Gussie?
Well, the QRL round 19, we saw some pretty standard results. I saw them coming, and then one really surprising one that could have a real impact on that final
Dolphins.
placings for each team. The Dolphins,
Big one.
beating the Bears away from home, 20 to
Second versus
14. Now, the Dolphins have pulled off a few of these sort of wins. Of course, they came from behind late against Ipswich. That was one of the best games I've seen. But they've also beaten the Falcons, who have been the best team all year. And now they've beaten second place in the Bears. So possibly the Dolphins could shake up this competition
Bit
and
of a
maybe
smoky.
go a long
smoky.
way to win it.
They could, and they're even pushing their case for an NRL side even further. They've got a great supporter base. I saw someone in the shopping centre the other day wearing one of their jerseys. So it really, once you see that, got to be an NRL team at that point, really.
And then, of course, the Blackhawks and Falcons had quite easy wins against their oppositions.
They did, and those are two teams that are pretty dominant.
Yeah,
across.
they're probably both going to make the finals now.
And we didn't touch on it last week, but NPL football.
NPL's heating up.
It is heating up. There's
Heating
only
up.
a few rounds to go.
We'll probably be going to one this week.
I hope so. But of course, there was the FFA Cup action on Wednesday. But we'll do a big review on the FFA Cup round of 32 next week.
We will indeed. That'll be interesting. There's some big games. Who's playing at Perry Park this week?
Perry Park this week. That's the FFA Cup.
Is it? Okay, so what are the NPL games this week?
No, the NPL stuff, that was probably the game of the round is the Gold Coast Knights versus the Brisbane Strikers. That's third versus fifth. The Gold Coast side are well and truly... There's a bit of daylight between fourth and fifth. I think the Strikers will still want to get a good win on the board after the game against the Phoenix on Wednesday.
They will. Well, they're the Perry Park boys.
Yep.
But anyway, we had a great guest this week, all the way from the United States of
He
America.
flew over especially. So.
Especially for us. He did.
Thank you, Bryn.
Thank you, Bryn. Bryn Nahrung, formerly of BBC Tennis and currently of the Florida State University Seminoles. Here he is.
All right, Bryn. So we'll be talking to you about life in the US,
Yep.
about college sport, and about that process of going from, of course, originally in Australia with Brisbane Boys College, and then getting that progression up to playing college sport. Of course, you started off with Florida State University. You are at Florida State University currently.
The Seminoles. Do they call the tennis team Seminoles as well?
Yeah, like that's our mascot. So I guess like Highlander of BBC
So
or whatever you want to call it.
The Highlander.
Yeah, so
that's
it's like the equivalent. Florida State Seminoles. Thanks for having me, guys, as well.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. At games for the tennis as well, how's the attendance?
It's not like obviously
It's not like the
no
football.
90,000 people football games like we get. It really depends. We play our rival Florida Gators every year. We play them down in Orlando at like the USTA National Campus. They got like a nice like college setup there, so they have the structure of the courts, the way college matches go, and we've been leading in attendance in college tennis the past 3 years with about I think 2,000 people come to that one.
Wow,
And then
great.
the cool thing about that one is we play like they stream it on Tennis Channel, which is like
sweet.
I don't know, the Fox Footy of American tennis. And last year we had about 45,000 people watch it on Tennis Channel. So
Cool. So there's none of that kind of tomahawk
no,
stuff that
I
they
mean,
do at the football.
I mean, because Orlando's a lot closer to Gainesville, where the Gators are. We didn't get as many fans as they did there, but no, it's the support's really good, and more importantly, the exposure for the sport of college tennis, college sports in general, other than like the main ones, football, basketball, baseball, tend to like struggle with exposure when they're like the level of them are just like really good at times. So that's really important for us.
Yeah, fair enough. And we were looking at your some of your college tournaments, and we see a lot of them against the Florida teams. We saw a lot of them against UCF and the Gators and stuff like that. Is there much of a rivalry between the schools there?
It really just depends. Obviously, like there are just like the built-in rivalries, like Miami for us and Florida. But sometimes you'll just have like little chippy matches against teams that you've had like beef with, I guess, from the past. I know that like I've spoken to other people that go to other colleges, and they said like, oh, although one school's our rival, we just like hate playing this. Like we love playing this school because we just want to beat them so bad, you know. Because like on a roster of a college tennis team, you only have about 9 or 10 people, so it can like get pretty personal. It's not like a one-on-one argument can be like can actually affect it.
It's not like a football roster where there's like 90 guys on the roster or something.
If like the 90th person and the 90th person from the other team having beef, like no one really cares. But no, yeah, we play a lot of Florida teams. Florida is probably one of the strongest states for tennis. Actually, definitely is one of the strongest states for tennis.
The weather would help that out as well.
Yeah, exactly. Playing outdoors most of the time.
Yeah.
Nice and hot as well. So, yeah, this year we played, I'd say, 7 or 8 Florida teams, and never an easy match, you know.
And which is the biggest rivalry between? Is it you and the Gators, you and the U? Like,
for tennis, that is? Oh, that's tough. I mean, I'd say Wake Forest and UNC, so they're both in our conference. We get to play them every year, which is a good opportunity. Both really good teams. They've been not only the top in our conference, they've been Wake Forest won last year, won the national championship. UNC and Wake, actually, they played each other in the semis of the NCAAs this year, and they have had a few like really close matches, which have gotten pretty chippy and stuff. So I'd say that's one of the top rivalries. Virginia, who are also in our conference, they've had some tough matches with other teams. So, yeah, like the ACC conference in general is really strong for tennis, and it's just really cool to be a part of that. And like some weeks you'll be playing guys who, like, if they weren't in college, they'd be playing professionally. So it's a really cool opportunity.
And you mentioned those teams that may not be traditionally the biggest rivals, but because of things that have happened on the courts between personal players, there becomes a rivalry between those teams while that group of guys are in the squad. Yeah. Do you guys have any teams like that at the moment, or not allowed to say? Or
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of tough. We there are just little things, but they really get like forgotten about because, like, if the guy's a senior, he's done the next year, so the like tension isn't really there. Our number one and the Florida Gators number one, they get a bit chippy every time they play, but that's just because they're both really, really good players to really high level, and they just like sometimes let the emotions get the better of them, but it's always just really good tennis to watch. And I just can't think of any off the top of my head, which is a good thing, I guess.
Fair enough. And for someone who's maybe not as versed in tennis, what's something in a tennis game that is kind of the equivalent to, say, an Origin fight, or what is one of those things? Is it chat between the two?
No, it's really tame. Like, it's really like petty stuff, to be honest. I kind of wish it was kind of like cricket, where obviously not having swings at each other like you are in Origin, but it's just more like chippy stuff. But I wish it was a bit like cricket, where you could just like throw a bit of chat, but like no one really does it because you're right like next to the person the whole time.
What would be a bit of tennis sledging?
Oh, mate, I wish there was some like to be like to have. So I'm just trying to think. Like,
well, what's the worst one you've copped?
I mean, one of my I haven't copped any, but when we were playing Duke in ACCs this year, obviously not their basketball team, thank goodness, not playing Zion Williamson or anything like that. Oof. But when we were playing them, one of the guys was being like super energetic and everything like that. And he was a senior as well, and if Duke didn't beat us in the ACC tournament, their season was done. So that was like potentially his last match, and he was being super chippy with us and like super just like in our face. And then after the match, we beat them 4-2, and he was actually one of the deciding matches, so he lost at the very end. And he was doing the same thing during a singles match too. One of my like teammates, when we all like shook hands at the end, he just told him to like enjoy retirement or something like that. Like it doesn't really get that bad. One other one I just actually thought about was I actually really liked this one. We were playing Auburn, and I was in the doubles lineup, and I was playing number 2 with my partner. So there's 3 doubles teams. I was playing at the number 2 spot, and then before the match, the coaches have a little meeting just to talk about the lineups, and if there's any like stacking, they'll like say, oh, like this guy shouldn't be playing there or whatever. And the Auburn coach came up to the referee and my coach and said, oh, like this Bryn Nahrung guy, he's playing number 2 doubles, like he's not that good, he should be playing number 3, like the number 3 pair's a lot better. And I was like, I didn't know that. And then Dwayne goes, oh no, like keep it at 2, and the referee was like, oh no, like I'm okay with that, keep it at 2. And then one of the other coaches came up to me when we were warming up and just like whispered behind me and just said, like, show him how good you are today. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, oh, Auburn coach said you shouldn't be playing too. Like, show him how good you are today. So as we're going along, our number 1 pair won their doubles. Our number 3 pair lost their doubles. So it came down to our doubles match. And we beat their number 2 pair 7-5 in the breaker. And on match point, as we won, my partner hit a serve. The guy missed the return long. And like usually you go to your partner and celebrate. The coach was like about 3 meters from me on the bench there. I just stared him in the face and just like pumped my chest and just yelled, let's go, in his face.
Didn't give him a Leighton Hewitt?
No, nothing like that.
Missed opportunity, man. Missed opportunity.
And then, first person I went and shook hands with after I shook hands with the opponents and referee was that guy and just said, yeah, thanks, mate. And thanks for the motivation. And that's as bad as it gets.
I'd like to talk a lot about the process of American sports. Yep. So would you think it's a good idea for maybe youngsters in Australia to consider going overseas to America?
Definitely. Just the biggest thing is just like America's just bigger with everything, you know, and that can be a good or bad thing. But for college sports, it's nothing but a good thing. The facilities over there are second to none. I'm in facilities, obviously, like their main purpose is for the football team, but all the other sports teams use them. Like just the facilities there are incredible. Our physio room is like 5 times the size of what the Broncos physio room would be or anything like that. We have like hot, cold tubs. We have like a chiropractor comes in once a week for us just for free. Like massages sometimes. Like the gym is incredible. I mean, you could even find photos of this online. It's just like state of the art stuff. And then we have like as far as gear goes, I mean, if you're playing tennis in Australia, for example, you got to fund all of your travels, all of your gear. Over there, when we're playing for the school, don't have to pay for anything. We get meals every day paid for. Obviously have a budget of like $15-16, but get that paid for. We get 6 rackets a year with a bag, and
sounds like the perfect life. To be honest.
Yeah. I mean, from a sports perspective, yeah. So like I'm wearing a polo right now from FSU. I've got like a ton of this stuff at home. Just like that sort of stuff, it's really cool. But for young people who are kind of considering it, I fully support it. If you find the right place, it's definitely the right thing to do, and that's one thing you really got to focus on in the process.
Well, what about tennis specifically? To make it as a tennis player, do you have to go to the States?
No, I mean it really just depends. So I can full on Dane Sweeney here. He's 21 in the world right now for juniors, right? So that's incredible. He's going to go professional straight away after high school. They're the 2 doors that you have to choose between when you like come out of the junior circuit. You either need to say, right, like I'm gambling, I'm going to put all my eggs in one basket and go pro, or you got to say, right, I'm going to play the safe card. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to develop not only my game as a player, but more importantly as a person, and then most importantly, I'm going to have a plan B. I'm going to have a degree behind me. So you never know when like an injury is going to hit you. Back injuries, anything in tennis is like it can happen like very quickly. So to have that plan B is really good. I mean, personally, my ambitions of going professional aren't as strong as some other people, but even if they are, I really strongly support the college system, even if your ambitions are professional.
Well, you mentioned the junior circuit, so I guess that's a pretty good segue to how you started playing tennis. Yep. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, I actually, like, tennis was a sport I didn't play till a lot later. I mean, when I say later, I say 11 years old, but I mean, we played rugby together at Kenmore Bears.
Yeah, under 12s.
So we played all the way up till under 12s. I was there since I was about 5 or 6 years old. Like, loved my rugby, but then I just like, same with swimming. I swam a lot. Quit that at about 14, 15, and I kind of just like sat down one day and I was like, you know what, like I can just keep playing like 5 sports and just be like okay at all of them, or I can just like not really throw all my eggs in one basket, but like actually put my mind down to one sport and just see where it takes me. So I picked tennis up at 11 through BBC, just played for the school. Kind of just really enjoyed the team aspect of it, because at tournaments you're by yourself. So I really enjoyed that, and then from then on, the rest is...
So you're not really into team sports?
No, I am. Like that's the part I loved about it.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
okay.
so I love the team aspect of tennis. So at tournaments, it's all individual. like all the junior tournaments. Like I played doubles with my brother just like across the road at the UQ courts last weekend, and it was just like you individually enter yourself and then that's it, you know. So GPS is very unique in high school tennis, like in Australia. Like there aren't many team tennis tournaments in Australia, so that was really good that I've been exposed to that. And so when I got to college, I already understood like what being like part of a team was and the culture and everything like that.
You mentioned BBC.
Yeah.
How did BBC play a role in your tennis career? Like, was it a really important part?
No, yeah, definitely. So I practiced there last night, and there's a big board there with all the BBC players that have gone to the US for college. And since 2008, I'm the 17th person. Like I'm just another name on the list, you know.
Wow.
We've had some like incredible players go through, and that's the kind of one of the things that like attracted me to the sport. So I started playing through the school, and then I see all these guys like coming back on their breaks. Like Hugh Clark went to Pepperdine, Ethan Wilkinson, Mississippi State, Jack Yater more recently went to University of Southern California, like incredible school. You see like the doorways that tennis has opened for them, like beyond the court, and you just think like that'd be an awesome opportunity. So like college tennis was always on my mind since like I picked up the racket.
Yeah. And what does a successful program like the BBC program, how does that encourage the younger players to kind of push on and think, hey, I can actually go to the US or I can play professionally? How does that culture, how many years have they won in a row now? 7?
It's 7 years in a row.
How does
GPS
that
premiership.
influence your career and players' careers coming forward?
I guess I think the results just like have just come like naturally, because you see like for me, for example, like I looked up to say Jack Yater, who went to college, and then I knew to get to that point I needed to go through that school system, be successful in the GPS, be successful with my like Australian ranking and whatnot. And then once I reach that point, I hopefully been like someone from like behind me who's a bit younger to be like, oh, Bryn Nahrung's been able to do it like this. Like if I can just knuckle my head down for like a few months, few like years, who knows, maybe like it doesn't even matter what level you get to, as long as like you're showing other people that you can use tennis as a sport to open doors for you beyond the court, then like that's the most important thing.
And that's such a big thing at GPS schools as well. We see it at Nudgee with the rugby, you know, year 8, year 7 kids, they might not make the A's, but they know, hey, Rajan Pasatoa is playing first, and I want to play first. And they obviously go into great things. He's signed with the Brumbies, sorry. And it makes such a big difference for tennis, which is maybe not the most popular sport, but it certainly makes a difference when you see people going on further than just BBC.
Exactly. Although it isn't like the most popular sport, you can still like get a lot out of it for yourself, I guess, which is what I kind of saw.
I think you did a pretty good job at that, because cast your mind back to that last ever BBC game.
Yeah.
Strive for 5.
Yeah, that
tunnel.
No, that was awesome.
It was like a rugby tunnel.
Yeah, well, it was maybe even bigger than the rugby tunnel.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something about that night. Like I just remember snippets. Like the adrenaline was pumping so much.
You
like,
jumped over the net.
Yeah, everything, mate. Like I was actually speaking to Liam Franklin, my teammate, about it just like a few days ago. We caught up for a little bit, and he was the same. He was like, "Yeah, I only remember like a couple parts from it because we were just like so hyped up and like, mate, they were, like, I mean, we were gonna do the interview there, but we couldn't. But like, the whole hill behind all the courts were packed. Like, and then up in like the blocks of the school, there were like people on staircases and stuff trying to watch and everything. It was really cool to be playing that sport and doing so well for so long, to like finally get like a recognition on a big stage, like just for the team and just for the guys. It was really cool. Just almost like, see the hard work pay off.
It is a bit sad that that's what it took for you guys to get that recognition, because you've been so successful for so long. But I don't know, it's just great things to see.
No,
it was good. It was like a rugby crowd.
Yeah,
it really was. I struggled to get a seat.
Yeah.
But I got one, and
Oh, it was a great event. It was a great event.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And of course, 2017 was a great year for you as well, because of the Australian Schools Championship, which you guys took out as well. BBC One.
Yeah, that was the second time we've done it. So 2014, we had a really good team, and they beat, I think, King's School from Sydney in the final. And 2017, like, we knew we had the team to do it, and we just like said to ourselves, like, look, like, if we just go down there, like, play with nothing to lose, and just see what happens, just keep playing, see what happens. Who knows where it's going to take us? And we were sitting there like about to play like a final for a national championship, which is like like from a team perspective, like our team perspective, our dream. So we just kind of let our game do the work, and yeah, it was a really special day, especially for Ryan Hayes, Jacob Hegedus, and I. Like we were the seniors, and like we were jumping in the pool at BBC 2 days later. Like it was like
What a
perfect timing.
Great way to end the year as well.
It was a really cool way to finish it all off.
Definitely. And how does going from a program like BBC to FSU, what's the transition like between the two?
It's really, really helpful. Like a lot of my teammates have just played junior tournaments. They play on the like World Junior Tour, like the ITF Junior Tour they call it, and all they do is just play for themselves, play by themselves, and then sometimes it takes a while to like have that transition. It took me a while to have that transition into college in a different way, but just like the way that BBC was able to like, I was just like exposed to it at such a young age that I could, I could just mimic what everyone else has done, and yeah.
Yep, of course. I'm not sure if a lot of people have followed the tennis season back in Australia. How did your college go, and how's the future looking?
So we had a pretty solid year. We were pretty unfortunate with injuries. We have our number one got injured in the first month of the season, which was tough. So everyone had to move up a spot, but everyone did an incredible job. We finished 25 or 26 in the country, which we were happy with. It was just tough with injury, and like most importantly, just like the memories. We had a lot of in college tennis. There's like potential 7 points to get. So if it comes down to 3-3 and there's one match on, like all your mates are on the sidelines, just like waiting for you to win that match. And if you win it on, you like rush the court. It's probably one of the best feelings I've had during my tennis career. So just like we won about 6 of those matches. So just having that feeling of just coming out on top, like after tough matches, has been really cool.
And what's life like at FSU? Like as a university, what's the college campus like? What's the vibe?
Yeah, I love it. So I visited a few other schools. Like it was weird. I visited like a hot, humid Florida, FSU, and then I went to the desert in Arizona, visited the University of Arizona, and then I went to the beach and visited like Pepperdine, like in Malibu, and then flew up to Seattle and visited the University of Washington, which is like rains 250 days a year. So I kind of, it was my first ever time in America when I did that, and I kind of just got a glimpse of like every different part of it. And I just, FSU was my first visit, and I just loved it. And since then, the campus is really nice. The weather's obviously great, and like the balance that they have between like school and sport there is really good. At every unit, it's really good, obviously. But yeah, and like now that I've been there for a year, the relationships I've now got with my teammates, with my coaches, with people from other teams, it's been great.
And how much of a consideration was the tennis program when picking the university, or was it very much school first?
No, it is big. Like you obviously want to go to a school where you know you're walking away with a valuable degree, but at the same time, you spend, like I live with my teammates, you know, I'm living with these guys. I see my coaches for practice every single day. So that's a huge part. Like you don't want to spend every day with someone you don't like, but I'm so glad I picked the right school, and you know, I love the guys on my team. They're great guys. We have 10 guys on the team, and we have people from 9 different countries, so all over the world, and it's been just a really cool experience.
Yeah, and over the past few years, there's been a bit of a, I guess you can call it a stigma with Australian male tennis players.
Right.
What do you say to that, or what do you think is the reason, or have you met these guys? And
so this is like a perfect time to bring that up, because Nick Kyrgios just won a tournament over the weekend.
He did.
Washington.
Yeah, he won Washington, which is a 500 event.
I think we all saw the highlights as well.
Mate,
yeah,
the guy, like, I'm a big fan of him personally. I just think like the media are tough on him. Obviously, they're very, very tough on him. But when he can like put his head down, he does it sometimes. He puts his head down for a week and he'll win the tournament, or he'll put down his head for a week and he'll play an incredible match. Like at Wimbledon, he was pretty locked in there, you could say, and he almost took out Nadal in like the second round. But he did it in Mexico earlier in the year. He like got through the first 2 rounds, like felt pretty good, and then you could just see by the way he was playing, like, oh, this guy's going to win the tournament. And I said it to, can't remember who I said it to last week, but he was in the round of 16 or the quarterfinals, and I said, yeah, he'll win the tournament. Like when he dials in, he's easily one of the best tennis players in the world.
So you don't think he's maybe giving Australian tennis a bad name at all by the way he carries on?
No, he has, but it's just tough. Like, he definitely has. Like, I can't support like some of the things that he's done, but at the same time, I'm willing to forgive him. And like, I'm a huge fan of his. So, and he knows that. He even quoted like when he won the tournament, he said, "Yeah, I acknowledge that like I'm not always perfect, but like I'm growing as a person," which is, again, the most important thing. Like, even just like from a year at college, you realize that like everyone on my team, my coaches, they stress it a lot. Like, growing as a person is more important than growing as a tennis player. So Kyrgios is really focusing on that, and I think he's gonna really pop soon and break out.
And you mentioned being able to tell he's going to win the comp. Can you tell that with a lot of tennis players? Can you tell by body language, the way they're playing? What is kind of a tell that, this person's got it?
It's kind of the same in every sport, I guess. It's like the look in their eyes, almost like you could tell he was like focused, you know. Sometimes you'll see tennis players and you'll be like, yeah, that guy's like completely dialed in. Like, nothing is getting to him that day. But I just saw it particularly with him because you can see what he's like when he's not locked in. So I saw that. And then with the top guys, you know, like Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, that top three, when they're when they're locked in, I mean, that Federer Djokovic Wimbledon final was like an all timer, just because. Yeah. Like, the most incredible thing about that match was there was so many tense moments, and you just like didn't see them get rattled at all. Like, Federer would lose 2 match points, and like you thought that was the end, but he still hung on for a few more days, and he ended up just going down in like the 5th set tiebreak. But I saw a quote, like Joe Flacco, the quarterback for the Denver Broncos. He said something about it. He said like Roger Federer is just an incredible role model, just the way he deals with the pressure. Same with Djokovic, like the way they deal with pressure, the way they face adversity with such class and maturity is just incredible.
Well, they're great role models, but I think Kyrgios, he's almost redefining what it means to be a tennis player, because you look back at boxing 20 years ago and Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, they were very good at promotion.
Yeah, exactly.
And that put bums on seats. And at the end of the day, like him or not, he gets bums on seats.
He really gets bums on seats, mate. Like, as far as like a tournament director, if I was a tournament director for like a tournament, I'd want Federer, I'd want Djokovic, I'd want Nadal, and then I'd want the 50th best player in the world. I want Nick Kyrgios next, because he is like he's showtime pretty much. Like,
you want performers, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
it's all the show.
It is all entertainment, you know. Like, people tend to forget that. They say, like, he's an embarrassment, like all this stuff, and I'm like, well, like, he's entertaining, mate. Like, you rock up to a Nick Kyrgios match, you have no idea what you're gonna get. Absolutely no idea. Same with Bernard Tomic in a way. Like, he can put on a show as well. Like. And like he can also lose in 50 minutes. But no, like I met him once, just very briefly, like at the Brisbane International. I was in a room with one of the TSS coaches, just like having a chat to him, and he was waiting for Tomic, and he just walks into the room and sees the two of us, and like he knows Caden, and he just out of his own way just comes up to me and goes, "Hey mate, I'm Bernard. Nice to meet you. Like, oh, how do you know Caden? Like, oh, all this stuff." So like, personally, my one experience with him has been great. You know, like, I can't say anything bad about him.
Sounds like a lovely guy.
The way he treated me was great. Like, I was like only 15 or so at the time, so that was kind of cool to realize that. Like, that's when I really realized that like you can't trust everything that you see. So you got to wait until you had that experience.
I think the thing about tennis though is it's kind of like golf in that some people aren't willing to sit there for hours and hours and watch a ball get hit back and forth. So with Kyrgios, he changes the game.
Yeah, he does.
I want to keep going back to that, but we can look at him in a negative light. Or, I don't know, I think Australia should embrace him almost.
Yeah. I mean, like, you just got to kind of have an optimistic view about it. I think now, like, everyone's just so, like, just the prejudice of it is so set on, like, oh, Nick Kyrgios, bad for Australian tennis, bad for Australian sport. Like, no, it should be Nick Kyrgios, entertainer, like
great tennis player,
like absolute wild
card.
That's
what you are as an athlete.
Wild card.
You're an entertainer.
Perfect definition for him, a wild card.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And do you have any projections before we finish up here? Any projections for FSU next year? Any goals going forward for yourself personally?
No, I just want to like just keep chipping away. You know, I just play mainly doubles on the team, which I like. I prefer playing doubles. I think it's a lot more fun. You're out there with someone else, keeps you relaxed and everything. But just like keep as a team, just keep like chipping away and just getting better every day. And as far as the football team, we had we had our worst season in 40 years last year. We went, but it was only 5-7. It was the first time we'd had a losing record in 40 years, which is still very good. So it's going to improve a lot, which is good for every sport because that's what brings in the money.
Indeed.
So it'd be cool to see FSU football.
Well, they need a bright spark, and we hope you guys can be it for the program and for the school. But there we go.
Yeah, well, cheers,
Thank you
Bryn.
very
I think
much,
it's
mate.
very interesting that you chose tennis for a team sport.
No,
That's
for sure, yeah.
But no, great stuff. Great chatting with you, mate. And
Yeah. Thanks for having me,
good
guys.
to see you back in Brisbane.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Cheers.
Well, welcome back, guys. Bryn, what a guest.
What a
Finn,
guest.
though, on the other hand, keeps clapping because he wants to sync up audio and there's no camera going. But anyway,
I'm not
that's
happy.
fine.
I'm not happy
mate.
with him. It's really frustrating, honestly. Like, you got something wrong with you, mate. Like, seriously.
Anyway, that was an awesome interview, and I was really interested on his take on American universities and what it was like, especially
And that
transitioning.
process, yeah.
It was really interesting, a different look at it.
But also the pathways that you can take as a aspiring tennis player.
You can. You see the demonors and stuff like that pretty much straight out of school, but then you see people go to the States as well. It's really interesting to see both. And we got that. So
Yeah, it's a good thing for schoolboys to look up for, you know?
exactly, and that's a big part
Going
of it.
overseas to play sport.
They get to play. They get to train in these professional facilities. Get to travel a bunch and get a degree at the same time.
It's best of all three worlds, I guess, in that stage. Anyway, this week we have a huge game against, in the NEFL, this is, against Sydney Swans NEFL squad and the Aspley Hornets NEFL squad. Battle of third and fourth. We'll see how that goes. Last week's match to watch in the NEFL turned out excellently because the Lions won by something like 100 points. So,
Yep.
what you'll want to see.
I think I described it as unreal.
Unreal,
Perfect
hey?
description for it, yeah. Perfect
Yeah.
description for it.
Perfectly put, mate. But hopefully we get a closer game this weekend from a neutral point of view, but we'll see.
Let's hope so. In the QAFL, we have some good games. You've got Surfers Palm Beach Currumbin. That's a great game. And you also have a bit of a Brizzy derby of Morningside and Wilson Grange. Their women, I think, in their twos are also going into the semi-finals, Wilson Grange. So that'll be interesting to watch if you're at the ground on the day. But yeah, what have we got in QRL up next week?
Did the Lions play the Bulldogs this weekend?
Are we still talking about this? Are we still going to talk about it? Do we need to do the whole door gag again?
I thought that was really funny.
It wasn't that funny.
It was a bit of comedic genius from me going out a second time. I thought that was...
That ruined
it
it.
just sprung to me
No.
that I should make this
All
joke
right, Gussie.
even
All
funnier.
right. What's going on in the world of rugby league this weekend?
Yeah,
Campbell,
well,
don't look so depressed.
It's hard, man.
the QRL, we've got in the QRL no real standout games. There's a few games like little battles for positions. So we've got the Ipswich Jets and the Wynnum Manly Seagulls. The Tweed Head Seagulls, battling off for that top 8 spot. So Ipswich are 9th, Seagulls are 7th. And then we got the Dolphins and Tigers. They're all trying to fight for that top 8 spot and finals footy. The NRL, although, they have some unbelievable games coming up in the NRL. Of course, we got the Broncos and North Queensland Cowboys. That derby, it always produces a good game.
Oh,
always
yeah.
does.
1 point thrillers.
Yeah. We've got all the top 4 sides playing each other. So the Sydney Roosters and Canberra Raiders.
Bit of a
Second
September
verse-
preview.
Yeah,
Yep.
second versus third. I think all these teams will be the top 4 at the end. Melbourne and Souths, of course. That'll be another great game.
Yeah, one to note in the Broncos-Cowboys game, Matt Gillett is still not in the squad.
Yes.
Still injured. Didn't train today or yesterday.
No, he's had a poor run of injuries, that guy, hasn't he?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
had
Great
groin,
player, but
and then he had
Horrid
something
year for
before
injuries
as
this year,
well.
yeah.
I want to say no. I was going to say back, but that's not right.
Could have been, or his neck or something like that.
See,
Something.
this is professionalism, isn't it, guys?
Yeah, we just know he had
We've
a
done our
groin injury,
research.
and that's about it.
But who do the Warriors lose to this weekend?
Yeah, well, the Warriors got absolutely done over by the Raiders. Of
They've
course.
got 14 men on the field, mate.
Yeah, that I'm not sure if you heard last week, but Finn had a little bit of a rant about
See,
the
he
refs.
did.
I don't think the refs have much to do with you losing a game by 40 points.
Yeah,
See,
you can't help
when we
yourself
had a
with
go
it,
at
brother.
Campbell earlier about the Bulldogs losing, you could try that with me, but even though I support the Warriors, I'm on your side here. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Funny from a depressed fan who just accepts it point of view, but
See, I came in with hope into this game. I was
How
like,
do you go for the Warriors?
okay.
Seriously.
Lions versus Bulldogs. We win this game. We're in for a run.
did they win?
Okay, seriously, you gotta stop.
I'm trying not to swear because we're a family-friendly show. Like, piss off, mate. Anyway, yeah, open the door again. Let's do that gag. All right, enough of the
And
Bulldogs. I don't
we'll
want to talk
flick
about
to
it.
the world of rugby union. We won't touch on the NPL again, guys, because we did that a bit earlier. But in the world of GPS rugby, huge game this weekend. Epi host Nudgee. Now, similar tale to last week. Nudgee, if they lose, they're gone. And you'd have to say, with the form that Southport are in, with Epi having to play them soon, I think they haven't played them yet this season.
I feel like this is Ipswich's season on line.
Well,
On
yeah,
the line
exactly.
this game.
That's what I
Both
mean.
teams have got a lot to play for, and I feel like we keep putting doubt against Nudgee. I feel like we keep doubting them, but I mean, it also feels like they're skating on thin ice a little
Because
bit.
it's so new to us, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
I think you said earlier, we haven't seen Nudgee be this vulnerable in a long
No.
time. So
Well, let's not forget they only lost by 1 point to probably
They
equal
did, but-
the equal best side in the
Yes.
comp.
but 1
over the
point
past
is
few
still a
years.
loss, Gussie. It's still a loss.
Yeah.
In a GPS,
Well,
you gotta
one
win out.
loss.
We'll see how they go against Ipswich. Ipswich really need to win this game if they're going to stamp their authority on this competition
They really-
because
this is their
this
first
this
real
is
test.
the game to win if you're going to win one this season. I'm not sure, is that at Nudgee or Ipswich?
It's at Epi.
Ipswich, so that's something going in their favour.
Any Epi old boys and current students, if you're listening to this, flock out and support your boys because this is a
They're
massive,
gonna need it. They're
massive
gonna
game.
need
They're going to need it. They really. This is their first real test this
Yep.
season, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you wanna
and
say
I
it a
haven't
third time?
forgotten-
Do you want to say it a third time?
Well, I mean, I might go a fourth actually. No, but it is though. Like, who else have they played this season?
They've played Toowoomba and someone else.
Someone else. I can't
Brizzy
remember.
Grammar.
Oh. Yeah, so 2 real tough tests so far in
Come
the
on,
season.
mate, we're nearly done.
Brisbane Grammar
Nearly done,
especially.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
And we touched on the Prem grade stuff before. Again, the prelim final between the Gallopers, Jeeps, and the students in the UQ. Winner moves on and plays brothers in the grand final
At
next
Ballymore
week.
again.
Loser goes home. So I don't think these players will be quite ready for Mad Monday yet, but
Not quite yet.
we'll see.
The East players probably are. Probably already had it,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Shouldn't be
Fortunately.
celebrating too much about after that performance though,
Yeah.
should they?
No, I think
Not
they,
so Mad
they expect they expected better. I spoke to the East skipper earlier in the week for Rugby News.
A little bit of a flex.
We're a little bit of a flex, but and he was quite confident heading into that game. So I think, they would be very disappointed with that loss.
Little bit
Very
shook
disappointed.
by it, potentially.
They walked into that match. I think they'd won 4 of their last 5 before that, but they were coming up against a team in UQ who had won 6 of their last 7. So it was really a form battle, and
They lost.
the students, man, they just blew them away in the first half.
Yeah, Red Heavies going at it.
Red Heavies.
But also, this is the final series at Ballymore as well.
Yep.
Like the last one before the redevelopment. Interesting to see what the stadium will look like after the redevelopment. But it's just awesome footy at Ballymore.
Well,
I love it.
I was down there last week,
You were.
and it is awesome being at Ballymore. I remember going there for the first time a few years ago, and it is just insane. It's a stadium in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah, it's an odd
almost.
position.
but it's one hell of a stadium.
Oh, yeah.
The fact it's not used more is a bit disappointing. Like, I'd love to see the Raw use it,
It'd be great for the Raw.
because at the end of the day, the Raw, they only get 5 to 10,000 to a game, I think.
They don't need Suncorp.
I don't
realistically.
go to games. It's not really on my radar for the last few years, and to be honest, that's because they're not a winning side.
Yeah, they're not
That's the reality.
Yeah.
And we could talk about promotion and relegation stuff, but that's a 2-hour monologue.
That's a
I could
whole
pull out
other
of
can of
nowhere.
worms.
But I don't know. I think teams like that, teams who maybe are struggling on fan attendance, I'd love to see it at Ballymore. Pack that out, and man, having the Den there,
Oh,
it would echo. It would just be
I was just thinking
unreal.
that like small stadiums, although it's not enclosed, so there's a bit
That's
of
true.
vocal issues. it's an awesome stadium, and you get those kind of more intimate experiences from that, and it looks more full.
Well, it's like non-league or English football, isn't it? You know, those smaller teams, obviously not the teams in the Premier League and the Championship. Quick shout out to you. The Premier League starts this week, but we'll come back to that in a second.
So excited for that one.
I do have to say, non-league, I do support a team in Division
You do?
6.
Why?
Why is that? Why is that?
I was their first ever international order when I
really?
bought their jersey. Well, Dad got me the jersey for my birthday, and he was like, "Yeah, we live in Australia," and they went, "Really?"
We don't
They're
ship
like,
to Australia.
Yeah, but,
Yeah, this is a Nigerian scammer.
but yeah, good old Dartford. They started their 2019-20 campaign with a commanding 4-1 loss. So come on, you
Welcome to the
Darts.
team, brother. Welcome to the team. We're talking about my losses all
Yeah, but
episode.
that's the beauty of supporting a team in Division 6 of English football. No
No one
one's going to
knows.
bag you.
Yeah, exactly.
About who?
I barely know who they are.
Dartmouth.
Yeah.
I play with them on Football
Who's their
Manager.
striker, mate?
Football Manager, though.
Okay, righto. Well,
Wow.
in other sporting news, of course, massive results.
Humongous.
Massive result. Australia taking down England in the first test of the
And of
Ashes.
course,
Who saw this coming?
England,
Seriously.
fresh.
Not I.
I know it's a different format, but England, fresh off their tied World Cup final.
Hmm.
No one got that joke then, did you?
No.
Mm.
Tied World Cup final?
No.
I'm
Well,
a bit of Kiwi?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a miss.
right.
I'm too
all right.
good for you guys.
All
Jesus.
All right.
Alright.
Anyway, well, they won the first test, of course, by 251 runs.
Yeah.
Which is quite a commanding win when you think about it.
Yeah.
That's quite massive. Of
Good old
course,
Smithy.
I was after the
You
Smithy.
after the first day, I was expecting bad things. Seriously, when they rolled us for 200 odd, and got past our first innings total in
Well, I think it's fair to say
No
that without
time.
Steve Smith, Australia would have been in real strife. And it's kind of pointing at the obvious there, but yeah, his two tons, just absolutely amazing. Joins a really elite club by doing that. Yeah, good stuff.
Definitely.
of course, and Nathan Lyon, I think, changed that match for Australia as well.
The GOAT.
As soon as he took that wicket of
That
Moen
wicket.
Ali
Gaz.
in the first innings, I knew there was something. I thought that was the the turning point in that game. As soon as he went straight through Moen Ali, God, Moen Ali's a bad batsman, but
We'll send that straight to him, mate. We'll send it straight to him.
he's a terrible player.
What's the deal between those two? Hasn't Lyon taken 8 of the 10? Sorry, he's gotten Moen Ali out 8 of the last 10 times
yeah.
in Ashes cricket.
Yeah, he's his bunny, honestly.
He can't play spin.
Yeah,
Is Gaz the best spin bowler since?
no,
No.
Oh,
No.
Since
Since you know who?
no, I don't think
Warney.
so.
Warney.
Warney.
I don't think you can.
Mr.
Compare
Ashley Martin.
Gaz
You might
to-
like him, mate.
Yeah, jog on, mate.
Well, they're such different bowlers. You can't really compare them. I mean, I guess they're both spinners, but I mean, Warney was just so kind of dominant, revolutionary kind of.
And they're both absolute characters, aren't they? But probably for different reasons.
Oh, definitely.
And,
Have you seen his kids? His kids look exactly like him.
Yeah.
Warney.
Yeah.
What, pre-plastic surgery or
Well, I mean, post too.
Pre-hair loss.
Who knows?
hair loss isn't
Well-
a joke, mate. That's
Come to Ashley and Martin this week. Again, not
That's-
a sponsor.
yeah, it's not sponsored, by the way.
They're not paying us for that one.
and yeah, boys. I think we'll wrap it up there just by saying that rugby
No,
union.
let's keep talking about Ashley Martin. Ashley and
No,
Martin.
Actually, Finn, have you gone to
it's an issue
Ashland?
facing thousands and thousands, if not millions, of Australians every year.
joke.
No, but we've
What
got
is a joke here when we're making a joke out of you?
open the door.
It's always.
Do it. Let's make it another go. It might be funny
You
this
reckon?
time. It might be funny this
What
time.
do you reckon, listener? Would it be funny?
Okay, let's not
Okay.
refer to them as a listener.
Okay. Bledisloe Cup action this
Bledisloe Cup.
weekend. That's normally very good from my point of view, not so much yours.
Yeah,
but
not particularly looking forward to it. No, I am looking forward to it, but
it's over in Perth, the first Bledisloe in Perth, I think, in a while, if not,
I'm not looking
ever.
forward to it. If I'm going to
Um,
be honest, not looking forward to it.
The All Blacks coming off 2 disappointing performances. They just got past Argentina and Buenos Aires a few weeks ago, and something happened with South Africa a few weeks ago that I don't really want to talk about. But
let's talk about it, seeing as I'm half South African.
it was a few weeks ago, Campbell.
Well, it's still current. Still current.
They played a bit dog. That remind you of anything?
Okay, moving on.
Yeah, Australia, just to remind everyone, Australia haven't won the Bledisloe Cup since 2002.
I don't think we need reminding, mate.
Oh,
I don't think we need reminding.
I think they do.
Can you give us a haka in studio now?
2002.
You reckon?
Do you know?
Dude, I'm a 5'7" white boy. I don't know a haka.
Not even the one with the tongue out?
Oh.
No,
just-
no,
Yeah.
If they
Well,
were
right.
if they were doing the haka, you'd be one in the back left or right corner, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh.
You certainly wouldn't be walking through
Not
the
really,
troops
not
going,
really expressing yourself
I'll
as
let-
much as the other
I'll leave
guys.
us, boys.
Yeah.
Or
You
would
know,
you
you know
be-
Richie. You know Richie.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
used to do it all the time.
Richie did it, but
Richie did
it's
it?
kind of past hands a bit. I don't
Who
know.
does it at the moment?
TJ Perenara. Yep.
Yeah.
You don't have to know him, but he sounds Maori, doesn't he?
He
So
sounds very, yeah.
no, he's a very good player. The backup halfback for
Okay.
the All Blacks at the moment.
He does it.
Yeah, he does it.
Interesting.
Backup halfback. Wow.
Yeah,
Not the most intimidating bloke you'd think, but
he's actually very good.
must put on a very scary face.
He does.
in that
He
haka.
yeah, the tongue comes right out.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
Can
very
imagine.
intimidating.
Well, on that, Jack Pack, we're heading out.
Just had to throw that one in there, didn't you?
Not
Just
getting
had to
away from that one.
throw that one in.
Anyway, you can find us on all of our social medias. Our Instagram is _beyond the sidelines _. Our Facebook is beyond the sidelines. You can also find us on a bunch more places this week, which is really interesting. You can find us on YouTube, obviously, same as always. Don't you dare start to cut. E-clapped, okay. You can also find us on
Finn, I'm gonna
Spotify.
kill you. I'm gonna
You might as well just walk out,
put a
mate.
pillow over
Walk
your
out,
head.
walk out. I'll do. Both of you walk out. I'll finish this.
I'm gonna put
Time out. Time out.
I'm gonna put a pillow over
You
Finn's
two.
head tonight and make sure he doesn't fucking breathe.
Out, you. Get out of here. I need peace and quiet.
They won't know I'm here.
Get out. I know you're
You're
here.
gonna die.
That's what matters. All right, Angus is left now. It's
Pretty-
only
pretty
Finn and
aggressive.
I. Anyway, you can find us, as always, on YouTube, Spotify. You can also find us on a bunch more places. We're on things like Anchor, Breaker, Stitcher, Pocket Casts. You can find us on a bunch. So you've probably found us on them. But if you hear one that you like more, maybe give it a listen.
Boys and back.
Okay. Can
On
we
that
just,
note,
I just went to the toilet.
all right.
he didn't go to the toilet. All right, thank you very much for listening. See you next week.